Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people in with us. Welcome to today's edition of our Crucifixional live stream as we are talking about decision making, decisiveness. What do you do when confronted with something? And I think that as we're going through this, yesterday we talked a lot about gut trusting and seeking out advice and how important it is to have both of those things. The day before we talked about our fear and how our fears can hold us back and keep us stuck in inaction, hold us back from actually taking action and doing the things that we need to do. Today, I want to talk about why it's important to be in action and why it's important that we do the things that we need to do. Why it's important that we get out there and actually are making these decisions so that we are making things happen. Because that's what we're ultimately called to do. We are called to get out there and make it happen, Captain. That is precisely what we hear in Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. We hear that the Lord God took the man after he created the man. He took the man and he placed him in the garden to till it and to keep it. As human beings, we are given this commandment from the very beginning, that we are placed out there to till and keep the garden. We are called to get out there and make stuff happen, to do the business, to get the work done, to do what we're called to do. And you and I are all called to do something. We have to figure out what that is. Ultimately, we're called to be warrior saints, and we have to do whatever we're doing as warrior saints, right? And we have to do whatever we're doing as one who lives a crucifixional life. And if we're not doing what we're called to do, if we're not out there getting it done, if we're not out there bearing fruit, if we're not actually doing the work of the gospel, we have tons of examples of why God tells us that's a bad thing. The one that I want to focus on today comes to us again from Matthew chapter 21. Now, yesterday we looked at something from the end of Matthew 21, the parable of the wicked tenants. Today we're going to look a little bit before that about the story of Christ with a fig tree. And as he's walking along, he's hungry, and there's a fig tree by the side of the road. And what happens? In the morning, as he was returning to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a fig tree by the wayside, he went to it and found nothing on it but leaves only. And he said to it, "May no fruit ever come from you again." And the fig tree withered at once. Now, biblical scholars will talk about there was a sect that used the fig as a symbol for their sect, and they were against this. That's fine. That's great. Let the biblical scholars talk about that stuff. What we need to see is that we, like the fig tree, are expected to bear fruit. Just like the fig tree is expected to have fruit on it, is expected to be doing what it is there to do. And when it doesn't, is told, "May no fruit come from you again," and it's withered up immediately. We, in the same fashion, just like the man who is placed in the garden to till it and keep it, are expected to, as we are tilling and keeping the garden, that is our own lives. And as we are getting out there and living the life of crucifixional living, that is the life of the warrior saint, we are expected to produce and bear fruit. And we cannot do that if we are held back by fear. We cannot do that if we are kept from doing what we know we are supposed to do with that we know in our gut is the right way to go, or by the sage advice that we hear. Like, I get asked all the time by people, what should I do in this situation? And I might give them some guidance and blah, blah, blah. But if they come to me a second time for that advice and they didn't take my advice the last time and instead did the exact opposite and then come back to me and say it blew up in my face, what am I going to do? I'm still going to give them advice. I'm still going to help them through it. But I'm going to call them out on the fact that they are not bearing that fruit. They are not doing the things that they need to do. And tomorrow we're going to talk about how when those things blow up in our faces, it's a benefit to us and where we can go from there. But for now, let us leave it at this. We are called to bear fruit. And like the fig tree, when it did not bear fruit, was cast off and withered away. When we sit and are stuck in inaction and are unable to actually make things happen, and are unable to make decisions because of our fear, because we're not trusting our gut, because we're not listening to the sage advice that we seek out, and then we don't do anything, we are not bearing fruit. We are not living our lives as warrior saints. And every single day, I am striving in my own life. Father Chris is striving in his own life to bear fruit, to do something, so that we can help you as you're striving to bear fruit, so that we can help you as you're on your path of crucifixional living, trying to live the life that God has laid out for you. We want you to join us so that we can all be doing this, all be striving together. Visit us, warriorsaints.org. Subscribe to the Way of the Warrior Saint. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're going to talk about the value of experience in all of this and how it plays into decision making. I hope to see you there, and until then, keep walking on the way of the warrior saint.